Can you? Sure.
Live.
Sure. Why not?
Live from New York. It's Saturday night. Not Saturday night. We're not New York.
Hey guys, you are here because you have questions about buying a house. You have questions about what's the down payment? What credit score do I need? How much house can I buy? My income is this. My income is that. I used to own a house. My wife wants to leave me. My husband wants to leave me. How do we get off the deed? All those questions that you guys have about the home purchasing process, going through it, after it, before it, whatever the case may be, load up the chat box with all your questions, comments, and concerns about it, and we will answer it right here, right now. I used to own a home. I was foreclosed. I had bankruptcy. All those thoughts that you guys have, because I know you want a piece of America, whether you had it before or you want it again, or you're going to get it for the first time, or maybe something happened and you fell into your lap. You accidentally got a property for whatever reason. Ask all the questions that you guys have in your brain. Do me a favor and go ding, ding, ding. Let them fly out into that little keypad that goes into the outer space and comes right back to us, and we will answer them right here live. Lee, Duran, what do you have for us?
So I got this question yesterday. Hey, if we did drop 100 basis points, how much more buying power does that give me? Let's run some math. And so I went with the regular. I said, okay, so let's just say you were at 7.25% before.
I'll give you a real life scenario on a
Tell
file
me. Yeah,
that
tell me.
actually worked this morning.
This morning?
This morning.
You know my rule. I like current better than
This morning.
I like current better than folklore.
Okay, so lay out the question again and I'll answer it.
Okay, so borrower says, "Hey Lee, you've been saying that the interest rates have gone down kind of, a lot. 100 basis points is what you said, which is 1%." And I said, "Yeah, they've gone down 100 basis points." And they said, "Okay, what does that mean in real numbers to me? How much more can I actually buy?"
Okay, perfect question. Perfect question. So this person I had pre-qualified back in the beginning of July. Okay, end of June, beginning of July. I forget what the rate was, and I can't quote the rate right now, but I will let you know that they were pre-qualified for $500,000 in Florida.
500. So the line is 500 G's. Got it right here.
Yep.
500 G's.
And then they said, "You know what, Chris? There's not a whole lot in our area, but we're gonna go look.
There's not a lot for 500 G's.
Not in that area, whatever area that is, and I can't quote the area.
500 G.
I'm not in front of the file.
$500,000.
Yeah, there might be more by Mar-a-Lago. Who knows?
Yeah.
But $500,000, a little bit of a challenge in that area. I reworked the file yesterday. Full communication with the borrower, going over numbers, crunching them. It changed to $560,000.
Really?
$60,000 swing.
You're gonna like this. You're gonna like this conversation because the one I was dealing with was 450, and they said, okay. I said I ran the wrong numbers at 450, and then when I was done, I said this 100 basis point drop gives you 45,000 more in buying power.
Yeah, there you go.
So 45,000, and you came up with 50,000, right? 60,000. So
Yeah,
between $45,000 and $60,000
Yeah.
increase in buying power, just because of the interest rate reduction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's facts, man.
That's pretty cool.
Facts. We got Who hater in the house? How you
Who
doing,
will
man?
hater? Let go of the mouse.
Okay, we got a question way up here, and I got.
I'm trying to make it work, man. We got froze out.
Lee just learned how to use the internet.
I like the
Okay, Hoovel Hater said, "My wife and husband wants to leave me. My wife and my husband. It's complicated."
All right, we're okay with that.
Hoovel Hater, how you doing, man? Long time no see. What else we got in here?
We have a little issue, a little hiccup with our tech, and we're starting to fix it right now. But we're still able to answer the questions. We just have to reach over to the
Do it the old-fashioned way like they did back in the days.
back in the 1800s when they used to
Okay.
have TikTok.
Ashley, 1922. Let's say Harris gets into office. Will interest rates go up?
Okay. So Ashley 1922. Ashley 1922. This is gonna sound a little cynical, Ashley 1922, and I really hope Harris doesn't get into office. I really hope Harris doesn't get into office. However, I do not believe the president has that much power to change the markets. I believe they influence it a little bit.
Okay, hold on, guys.
But I don't think they actually dictate. Oh, your sound is messed up.
Yes, hold on. So, Whoville Hater, how's the sound now? I need you guys to let me know if sound is good or not good. Hurry, 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 hurry.
Somebody give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Thumbs up or thumbs down. Whoville Hater, tell us what's going on. If not, we're going to have to disconnect.
It's good. Okay.
Beth Burke says up. Thank you, Beth. Appreciate you, Beth.
Cool. All right,
Okay, back to the question. What was the question? Oh, if Harris gets in office. I don't think the president has that much power directly over the economy. I don't think so. I think there's powers way beyond the president. Way beyond. And I'll give you one name that you wouldn't think is very powerful, but he moves markets without even knowing it.
Chris Dominguez.
No.
Okay.
So I
You
just
got his name?
spaced it. Yeah, Berkshire Hathaway. Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett literally owns more 10-year bonds than the United States government. He has a bigger position in Berkshire Hathaway with 10-year bonds than the United States government. Now, well, what does that mean? Okay, what does that mean? That doesn't mean anything. It's just Warren Buffett. It's just Berkshire Hathaway. Here's what it means. The Fed controls the Fed funds rate. The Fed funds rate is currently at 5.25 and 5.5%. That's it. Guess what? It hasn't moved in 24 months. At least 24 months. It's been very high. No, I'm sorry, 12 months. Hasn't moved in 12 months. It did not go down recently. It did not go down. But why did interest rates drop so fast? Why? Here's why. Because, what the hell just happened?
Whatever, man.
Yeah.
Heather Jones, how you doing? All right, let me see. Who's next? April, is it better to go with an LO or a broker?
Dude,
And why?
You messed me up.
Is it better to go with a broker, LO, or LO? Why? Why?
Okay, so do you want to take your first crack at it, and then I'll take my first crack, and I'm going to tell you what happened with Warren Buffett in just a second.
Okay, so April, here's the first piece, okay? A broker is an LO. So you're asking the same question. So you're saying, is it better to go with an LO or an LO? The loan officer either is a broker or a direct lender. That's the question. Is it better to go with a direct lender or a broker? Okay, so now answer that question.
Okay, so there's when you become a loan officer, you get a license. I'm 944-254.
1066958.
Okay, so we have to do that because it's legal stuff. And you get the choice. You get to say, hey, I can work wherever I want. Now, the only time you're really valuable as a loan officer if you're a self-producing loan officer. What does that mean? That means that the bank doesn't give you the leads. People don't walk in your door. You actually hustle and get your clients because you know the market, you know realtors, you know people. You put yourself out there. So now you become valuable, kind of like an athlete. And when you get really valuable, you get a lot of money. There's a lot of money in this business, a whole lot. Okay, so how does that affect the customer? Here's what happens. If you are a direct lender, you work directly for a bank, okay? We are direct lenders. We work for New American Funding. We are direct lenders. We work directly for a bank. We get a W-2 from a bank. That's what happens. Okay, cool. So what does a broker do? A broker gets to broker his loans to multiple banks. He doesn't work directly for any of them. He has a brokerage line with each bank. Now, here's the part that they don't tell you. It's very difficult, but here's the part they don't tell you. So every broker, once they say, hey, AAA Bank, I'd like to sell loans for you. They're like, cool. Do you have your license, your INO insurance, and all that stuff? Yes. All right, cool. Then we would do it. What would you like your commission to be? And the loan officer goes, hey, I want 50 basis points, which is very low for a loan officer. Very, very low for a loan officer. 50 basis points. So AAA Bank says, hey, at 50 basis points, I'm going to give you the best rates for your client out there. Nobody's going to be able to beat you. They're the best. And the loan officer says, hey, that's nice. Thank you very much. All right, cool. The very same day, he goes to ZZZ Broker Bank, and he says, here's all my stuff. I'd like to sell your loans. And ZZZ Bank says, okay, what would you like your commission to be? And the loan officer says 300 basis points, which is very high for a loan officer. So remember, you got the very low, 50 basis points, or 300 basis points, which is very high. All right, cool. So now he sets up a brokerage line from all different banks, but he chooses his commission in these, okay? He chooses his commission. Now, he goes out and hustles, and he says, hey, I'm a great loan officer. Come be with me. Let's get your loan funded. All right, cool. So we get a $500,000 loan, and that loan officer builds the loan, and then he has to go, all right, cool. Do I want to make a little bit of money and give the client the best rate out there? Or do I want to give him not such a great rate, but I make a boatload of money? That's what a broker has to do. As a direct lender, I don't get a choice. Once I sign on, let's just say, remember, the bottom, low is 50 basis points. Barely any money to be made at that. High is 300 basis points. Let's just say that the average bank is signing people on at a flat 100 basis points. That's a respectable commission. It's not too low. It's definitely not too high. So whenever we fund a loan, we don't get to choose what our commission is. What does that mean? That means that we get the rates that the bank gives, okay? It also means that in a good scenario, a broker with 50 basis points can beat me. That does happen. And occasionally when I get somebody who says, hey, Lee, I know you gave me this great deal, but this broker is telling me he can do better. And I say, cool. If that's the case, have him send me a locked LE. That means that they've locked the rate in, and that's what it is. Okay. Then I go to my bank and I say, hey, Mr. Bank, I have a client that's getting a better rate from a different bank. Here's the locked LE. And then I go to my management and I say, hey, I don't want to lose loans because I chose to stick with New American Funding. What can you guys do? And I'd say 90% of the time, we beat them. We beat them. Now, just because we're a direct lender doesn't mean we can't broker loans. I actually have broker lines. I have broker lines with Wells Fargo. I could broker a Wells Fargo loan and usually beat a Wells Fargo loan officer with their own product. Why? Because when a customer goes into Wells Fargo and says, hey, I'd like to take out a home loan, that's retail. They're retail customer by definition. When New American Funding goes to Wells Fargo, they say, hey, Wells Fargo, we'd like to sell some of your loans, but we want to sell $100 million a month. Do you have anything special for us? Wells Fargo says, well, if you're going to sell $100 million, yeah, I got a little bit of a cut I can give you. Because of that, we get better rates. So, is it better? Depends. It really boils down to your loan officer, actually, because here's what happens, and I've seen this a lot. A loan officer that's a broker will go, hey, listen, I'll beat everybody on rate, and they'll quote you AAA rate. But as soon as they have you locked in and all the way in contract, they'll go, hey, listen, I was looking, and I think ZZZ Bank is better. And you don't know any better, so you're like, cool, I'll take ZZZ Bank if you say so. What they did was they flipped you, and they won't say it's for commission reasons. They'll say, we just like the servicing branch better. But does that happen? All day, every day.
What does it take for a loan officer to work with a direct lender?
You have to, yeah. By the way, another thing, April. If you want to come and work for New American Funding, they don't just say, hey, you're hired. For us, they said, all right, guys, you know what? We'd really like to have you guys on our team. And we'd like to write you a fat check to come over. But we need you to prove that you actually fund loans for the last 2 years. Now, we have ways to pull it because NMLS number shows how many loans you funded. We have our ways of pulling. But we also know there's other loans out there that we can't pull through NMLS, like Alt-QM, reverse mortgages. Certain things cannot be pulled through NMLS. So we need a full production run, your W-2s and your 1040s for the last 2 years. And if this really is what it says it is, we'd really like to bring you on board, and we'll write you a big fat check to do it. That happened.
What does it take to work for a broker?
You have to get your NMLS, and then you have to show up and say, can I work for you?
What do they say?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's funny. Beth Burke, thank you for that. April, thank you for that. Hoover Hater, sounds like you're in a tunnel. I think it's you, Hoover Hater. Everyone else loves it. Jessica, thank you for the love. Ashley, 1922. That's where you were actually at, but we got to move a little fast because we got a lot of questions. She wants to know if Harris gets in an office, are the rates going to get better? Oh, no. She said, if Harris gets into office, we need to move to Canada. Do you do business in Canada?
Ashley,
T-Money 2024.
I like you, Ashley. I like you. I don't want to move to Canada, though. Canada is... I got some friends in Canada.
No bueno.
It's not very good over there.
No
It's kind of
bueno.
worse. So we got to think of something.
Mexico's actually better choice.
Mexico's getting to look like a good choice.
And they have tacos.
They have good tacos, man. They have really good tacos. You have to think about the taco factor, Ashley. The taco factor.
Yeah, factor that. The deal says how can buy a house with only 6 months of income trying to get a house under $300,000? Any loans that can help?
Nope.
Jesse Ruiz. What are the interest rates on an
Yeah,
FHA
you need 2 years
Texas?
across the board. Yeah, you need 2 years across the board. All loans, all loans, all loans.
Jesse Ruiz, what are the interest rates on FHA in Texas? I'm under contract, so do I still qualify for lower interest rates?
Jesse, that boils down to your loan officer. If you've got a good loan officer who knows how to shop the rates, like if you were with Chris or I, when it's that you're like, hey, what are the rates today? I would go, cool, let me pull pricing. We actually have a pricing index, and I would say, hey, New American Funding is offering you, I don't know, we're putting out, I think 5.375 right now on a perfect file. We're about to pull that up. But I would say, no, 5.375, yeah, 5.375 on a perfect file. I would say 5.375, but that's our direct line. Oh, look, AmeriHome is a little better. Wells Fargo, it's a little worse. Pacific Financing, a little worse. There's like 30 of them. So when we pull pricing, I pull all these different banks. Like 90% of the time, we're best. Our rates at New American Funding are best. However, there's one recently that just jumped in and is killing us every single time. It's called AmeriHome. And I tell everybody, hey, we may want to lock with AmeriHome because they're just offering better rates than anybody out there. So we would price you and show you everything. And when I go to my earlier conversation, if you're a broker, you don't want to show everybody everything because the rates are worse at ZZZ loan and they're better at AAA loan. And the client would say, I'll take AAA in that case. And the loan officer then is going, I only make 50 basis points, so I don't think I want to show you AAA. Well, I make the same, doesn't matter who you choose. It does not matter who you choose. I want you to get the best rate you possibly can because I signed a contract with New American Funding that I get X across all the board and it's good. And the reason we did that is we're playing long game. We've learned that keeping a customer by giving them the best overall package, not just best rate, but it's knowledge, information, closing ability. If you get a great rate but a shitty back end and your deal falls apart, who cares about the rate? So there's a lot to that.
Gilded Heart, do you guys do loans for New York State?
Yes, we do, Gilded Heart. There's not a lot of banks who do it in New York State. We do. I had to go through special training just for New York State because New York State is a very difficult loan to get blue skied in. That's the best word. That's from stockbroker world. But we do loans in New York State.
Mr. Series 7. Who's that guy? What's the guy's name? I like him.
Whoville Hater? No, that's not Whoville Hater.
Anyways, the deal says the deal says he has to go and to DM him. The deals, we don't DM anyone.
Yeah.
If you have a question, reach out to us, man.
Yeah.
Anybody that's interested in talking to us, go to the link in the bio. You can apply for the home loan right now while we're on live. Or our phone number is there. You can call us. We can talk about it.
Call us.
Anytime.
Call us.
Anytime. If it's late at night, call Lee. If it's middle of the day, call me. We're here for you guys, okay?
You're great.
Well, dude, you're a party animal.
All right.
Christina, thank you for the love. Where's Lucho? Thank you for the love. Gilded Heart. Nate Storm. In Pennsylvania, a difficult state to get pre-approved if you don't have the best credit score. Is Pennsylvania.
Nate Storm, it doesn't matter what state you're in. If you do not have the best credit score, it's difficult to get approved across the board. Across the board. So, if you don't have a good score, we'll actually tell you how to get it up. And we were dealing with somebody yesterday that's like, hey, I paid everything off. I'm like, that's not how you get it up. You don't get it up by saying, hey, I don't have any debt, because credit is your ability to responsibly pay back debt. If you don't have any debt, how can we know if you're responsibly paying back debt? So there's a little more to that, but it's across the board. FHA qualification in Pennsylvania is the same thing as it is in California, Florida, Texas. It's the same FHA. Fannie Mae's the same, Freddie Mac's the same, USDA's the same. All of these called conventional conforming mortgages or qualified mortgages, they have the same qualifying criteria.
Yeah. What's up, Vanessa? Say hi to Vanessa.
What's up, Vanessa?
There you go. Gilded Heart said, awesome. Hater Gator 36. Would you do an ARM now because you think rates are going to fall, or still do a 30-year fix?
Hater Gator, if the ARM rates were better and the math worked, I would do an ARM in a blink. However, the ARMs are priced in, and the ARMs know, I mean, kind of everybody knows. Everybody knows. This is what the Federal Reserve is putting out on their website. Right now, the Fed funds rate is at 5.25 and 5.5. They are anticipating by the end of 26, beginning of 27, that they are going to be at 2.5% rate. 2.5% rate. So, do we wonder what's going to happen? If the Fed has any say over this, we're going to be at 2.5% rate. What does that mean in mortgages?
Yeah, what does that mean?
Well, the Fed funds rate is not the mortgage rate. The mortgage rate is based off the 10-year yield. However, the 10-year yield for the last 40 years has been in lockstep with the Fed funds rate, which means when the Fed funds rate goes down, the mortgage rate goes down too. What? So we kind of all know it's going to go down. So if you're thinking you can game the bank by getting a 2-1 ARM, they already priced it in. So the banks know this. The stock market people know this. Big money knows this. And this goes back to the question when we first started, will Harris tank the stock market? I don't think Harris has an ability to do that, and I don't think Trump has the ability to do it either. They create policy, and by the time policy takes effect, their term is almost over, because policy is not quick. Policy is like, hey, let's go tax the people making more than $400,000 a year. All right, cool, that's cute to say, but by the time it makes it to Congress, the House, becomes a law, goes through all the vetting process, it's 2 to 3 years, and it usually doesn't get enacted till the next administration. So it's not so perfect.
Big money.
Yep.
Let me call Big Money. Hey, Big Money, what's up?
Damn.
Jace, you guys are awesome teachers. Thank you, JC.
Appreciate you, JC.
Caitlin Bruce said, nope, they don't.
We talk about the presidents having that kind of influence. I think you're right. The presidents do not have direct influence. They do have roundabout influence. Roundabout influence is they adjust policy. And if you get into politics, that's a very dirty world, because it's not really about what's better. It's about what's better for them. And for them is always different. Remember that the people who want no power lines because they will hurt kids and schools, there's another side that says, hey, we need power lines so we can help poor people get into more houses in this rural area. Which one of those is the right answer? It's really difficult because it's not. Politics are not so straightforward, and depends on who the steward is. If you get a good politician up there, he can make the bad things happen, and it will take a little while before it takes effect, but it does have an effect, not a direct effect. Not a direct effect. So, rates are not driven by the administration. As a matter of fact, the person that they choose, who right now is this guy, his name is Jerome Powell, and he's a chairman of the Federal Reserve. Our system was designed that this guy gets a 4-year appointment in the middle of the presidential term. So the reason for that is when a new administration comes in, they can't just go, hey, you know what? You're fired. They have to wait 2 years and then decide if he's fired. And if they do, the next person has to wait 2 years and then decide if they're fired. But the Federal Reserve guy usually hangs around for a long time, whether they're good or not. During my learning period, Greenspan was in there forever. President, Democrat, kept Greenspan in. Republican, kept Greenspan in. Democrat, Republican. Greenspan was there for a very long time. Why? Because he did a pretty good job. I think he had his flaws, but he did a pretty good job and governed the economy so that we didn't crash. Now, there's some haters on Greenspan, man. There's some people who hate this guy. Anyway, let's talk about buying a house.
All right, guys, you know the routine. Load up that chat box with all your questions, comments, concerns, and thoughts about buying a house. Ask the questions that are on your mind, guys. If it's hard for you to do that, go like this. Let them fall on the table. Plug them into the phone. Fill up that chat box with all your questions, comments, concerns. But right now, it's time for a commercial.
If you need a badass loan, call a badass loan officer. You can reach your badass loan officers, Chris and Lee, at the numbers on the screen. But don't call right now because we won't answer. Chris's phone is on Instagram and Lee's is on TikTok, so we can't answer. As soon as we're done with the live, we will answer the call. So how much more, that's it, this is going to disappear. How much more buying power will 100 basis points get you? So let's say you were shopping for a $500,000 house at 7.25 and you got qualified. $500,000, 7.25. And then the rates came down to 6.25. How much more buying power will that give me? Go.
Well, there's no exact in that. There's no exact because you have different credit scores, different LTVs, different DTIs. Everything is different on a file. But I'll give you an exact scenario of a file that I was working just this morning where the credit was actually at a 600. 600. Yeah, this is an FHA file, guys.
All right.
600 FICO score out of Florida. They were originally approved for $500,000. Okay, this was back the beginning of July, end of June, something like that. But today, this morning, it went from $500,000 to $560,000. It went up $60,000 by that tiny little interest rate drop that we had last week.
60,000?
60000.
That's the difference between a $500,000 and a $560,000 house. That's a different neighborhood. Mm-hmm. That's a whole different neighborhood. That's not even close to this neighborhood.
No more gang banging for this family.
That's a different neighborhood.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Esme said, I'm under contract, but my rate is not locked. How long should I wait to see in case the rate's lock? Seen in case the rate's lock.
Well, Esme, I think that if you had the opportunity to lock on Tuesday, you should have locked on Tuesday.
Yep.
Because they were the lowest they've been in probably
what we
3
did?
years. Yeah, we locked everything on Tuesday. So I do believe there's going to be a correction in the market. I do believe it's already happening. On Tuesday, I would get on here and I would say, today's New American Funding website says 5.25. But if I go today, right now, it says 5.375. What? 5.375. Yup. So it's gone up 25 basis points in 2 days. So they're going back up, and they're going to, in my opinion, they're going to go up a little bit more over the next 2 weeks. 2 weeks, unless we have another giant sell-off. Now, what happened, the reason that the rates tanked, here's why. It's very complicated, but here's why. So do you know what interest is? So if you put let's say you put $10,000 in Wells Fargo and you say, hey, I would like to get some interest on this $10,000. Wells Fargo says, hey, tell you what, I'll give you 3%. Thank you for depositing your $10,000 there. Thank you very much. I'll give you 3%. All right, cool. Thank you. So that's interest. You're getting 3% interest. Japan had negative interest. Negative interest means, hey, I'm in Japan now. I would like to put $10,000 in the bank. The bank says, hey, thank you very much. In order to keep it safe, I'm going to charge you $100 a month. Wait. Aren't you going to pay me? No. We're not in that scenario. If you want us to keep it safe for you, I'm going to charge you. That's called negative interest. Well, Japan had negative interest for many years. Okay, now what does that mean? Well, if you have negative interest, you can borrow money at negative interest, but you need to hedge that loan because you go to the bank and you say, hey, I'd like to borrow $100 million. They're like, all right, cool. How do I know you can pay this $100 million back? Well, if you're Warren Buffett, you say, well, I got $10 billion in Berkshire Hathaway, I'll leverage it. In other words, I'll pledge it. If I don't pay you back, I'll give it back. Okay, cool. So they say, hey, Japan says, hey, Warren Buffett, here's $100 million at negative interest. He just flips that over and says, hey, where can I get absolute guaranteed money? I'm going to put it in bonds. So Warren Buffett goes in with $100 million and buys bonds. It's way bigger than that, actually. So he buys bonds. So he borrowed money from Japan. He put it back into the U.S. market, and he's making what's called arbitrage. The money between what he borrowed at and what he's making, every month he's making money. Now, Japan went in and said, okay, we're done with negative interest. We're going to positive interest now. So anybody that had the loans here that borrowed from us, you're no longer borrowing at negative interest. It's now positive interest. And you need to meet the margin call in order to keep those loans. Warren Buffett says, shit, what am I going to do? I have to sell off a whole bunch of these bonds. Okay, cool. I'm just going to sell off a ton of bonds in order to make the margin call that I'm borrowing money from Japan and putting in the United States. What does that look like in the U.S. economy? All of a sudden, all these bonds hit the market like crazy. And nobody knows how to respond because we didn't know this was going to happen. And the market drops 1,000 points on Friday, 1,000 points on Monday. Oh my God. Then the mortgage market responds with it and it goes down. So anybody who actually follows this stuff goes, hey, wait a minute. This is going to re-level out pretty fast. So I told Chris, he's like, hey, do we float or lock? And I'm like, dude, I think we're in a bottom right now. I think this is like an anomaly. Why? Because the Fed hasn't moved the rate. They're anticipated to move the rate in September, but this isn't Fed response. This is response to what's going on globally. Now, the market seems to have leveled out and interest rates are starting to tick back up. I think with the Fed funds rate at 5.25 and 5.5, our healthy interest rates are probably 6.25 to 6.5%, somewhere in that range. But we're below that right now. So, long story short, too late, but long story short, have a good loan officer who actually knows this, can explain it and tell you why things are working. If I had the opportunity, like if I didn't lock Tuesday, I'd probably lock today. Some other factors I would think about, but I would probably lock today. How would you think?
So what happened is we took a pretty good dip. We gave some of it back, and now we're trying to trend down again. So right now at this moment, I would say if you're closing, like Esme says she closes in 30 to 45 days, two things are happening. One, we're starting to float back down a little bit. And in that 30 to 45 day period, cross your fingers, we actually get the real reduction from the Fed. So we're at the 9th. If she closes in 45 days, she's probably looking at closing the middle to the end of September. So she could be in a very good spot if she floated until then. But if she wasn't going to float until then, lock right now. Lock right now. And you can do a 45-day lock, Esme. You can. So if your loan officer is saying he can't, he can. He absolutely can. So I don't know what your file looks like. I hope you're in a good spot. But regardless, guys, don't try to time anything. Don't try to time anything.
Yeah.
Take your loan officer's advice. Take the advice of the experts. And if you're getting into a house, whatever that rate is, be happy with it because you're getting into a house.
Yeah, make sure you pick a good loan officer.
Yeah, there's a lot of people out there who are taking advice and looking for investment opportunity and looking for a good deal and looking to make money on this property. Don't do that. If this is your home that you're going to live in, raise your kids in, shop at the local grocery stores, get old in, live in it for the next 5 to 10 years, then move somewhere else to a bigger or smaller house, do that. So here's what people are doing, guys, is they're trying to time everything. They're trying to get an investment opportunity. Most of you are not investors, so don't act like an investor, okay? You're not going to get in, get out, bail on it, make money, do this, do that. What you're going to do is you're going to live in it, and here's what's going to happen. This is the truth. You're going to live in it, and you're going to buy it here, okay? It's going to go up, and it may be a little bit of a correction. It's going to go up, and there may be a little bit of a correction, and it's going to go up, and there may be a little bit of a correction. But all that while, you're still making that money in between, even during the biggest crashes in our lives, like 2008. Okay, so 2008, they made a lot of money, big correction. And then they made a little money, correction, money, correction, money. They're in the money. So guys, don't try to time it. Just get in, lock in that rate, lock in at the price, and you'll be very happy moving forward. Caitlin said, goodness.
Yeah.
A truck driver, what did you say? A truck driver's life said, I left you a voicemail, Chris. All right, we'll give you a call as soon as we're done. Paul's C406. What about Rocket Mortgage? Any good?
Rocket Mortgage is okay. It's good. In a perfect scenario, it's great. It's actually better than anything. In a perfect scenario. What is a perfect scenario? You are a executive making $180,000 a year. You're putting 20% down. You have an 800 FICO. You've never been married or divorced, and you don't have any kids. Rocket Mortgage is the best for that. It's the best. Nobody can touch Rocket. Rocket, by the way, is Quicken. Quicken Mortgage, who's the biggest mortgage player on the block. Nobody's bigger than Quicken, but Quicken has arms, and the low-level retail arm is Rocket. But Rocket is a cookie-cutter loan officer. They
So,
can't.
see?
They don't really solve problems. Rocket, what they do is they take the loan officer out of the equation, and if you work for Rocket, the law says there has to be a loan officer on it. So they pay you $300 a file or something like that, and then that's not a lot for a loan officer. But they send a lot of loans to this, so after a while, volume makes up for it. You can still make 10, 20 grand a month as a loan officer because you do so many loans, but you don't really work the loan. All you do is you say, hi, I'm a loan officer. You want to take a loan? Yeah, cool. Let me sign the 1003, is what it's called. And then they move it on, and then the loan officer doesn't talk anymore. They really don't have a lot of input anymore, but there is a loan officer who signs it. So I like Rocket under perfect scenarios. But if you've got any hiccups at all, like if you got one 30-day late, you're going to have problems. If you need to, for your loan officer to talk to your realtor in order to make things work, you're going to have problems. If there's seller's concession and it's not done perfectly, you're going to have problems. If you're divorced or you had a bankruptcy, Chapter 7, Chapter 13, you've got any IRS problems. If you got IRS problems, you're toast at Rocket. Yep. They won't even take you. So if you have IRS problems with us, we'll be like, okay, cool. Here's what I need you to do. I need you to file your 2023 taxes, and I know you're going to owe $4,000 to the IRS. I know you are, but I want you to immediately engage into an offer installment agreement and send $100 off with that offer installment agreement. And then when they receive it and accept it, all I'll do is make sure I put that $100 in to your debt to income back end ratio. That's the difference between dealing with a real loan officer or somebody like Rocket. But I don't fault them. They're doing loans. I mean, they're doing loans just like we are.
Just know this, Paul, or not, was it Paul that asked? Whoever asked about Rocket. I don't know one solid, good, seasoned real estate agent that says, yes, I would absolutely use Rocket. The only ones I run into that are using Rocket are newer agents who don't know better yet.
They don't know better
and then
yet.
they run into the train wreck and the problems, and then they figure it out later.
Yeah.
So for purchasing, I haven't had any great stories. But I'm sure there's one or two out there. Esme said, okay. Paul said that he's at a 2.8 in his current home and a 4.25 on his rental.
Great job, Paul.
That's a great
4.25 on a rental? That's
great.
amazing, man. That's
Haven't heard about
amazing.
that
Good
in
job for you.
years. Guided Heart, loan officer is saying the complete opposite of what you guys are and is making me super nervous. What was their situation? What was Gilded Heart saying? About locking?
I think so. Yeah. Gilded Heart, if your loan officer is saying the complete opposite, hey, if you trust your guy, if you really trust your guy, I mean, trust him and you know he's good and he's not afraid. So here's, somebody said, how do I choose a good loan officer? If I'm not going with you guys, how do I choose them? I said, okay, here's the tough part about this. Passing the NMLS test, it's hard. It's not easy, but it's doable. That doesn't mean you're a good loan officer. You won't be a good loan officer until you've screwed up files a lot. And we've been doing this for a very, very long time. We screwed up a lot of files.
We screw up all the time.
Not anymore. But here's the thing. Because you're dealing with an uneducated consumer, they don't know any better. They don't know why rates go up. Bro, the things I tell loan officers, 90% of the loan officers don't know what I'm talking about. They tune into my channel to learn. They learn about what's the difference between a broker and a direct lender. How can I make so much money as a broker but not as much direct lender? Well, which is better, broker or direct lender? They don't know these things. They don't know that there's certain things that are suggestions even though they look like guidelines. They're not. So if you really trust your guy and he's willing to put it out there against the real world. So if we're out here and we get loan officers who come at us all the time, and I welcome it. I'm like, yes, cool. I feel like a gladiator in the Roman times inside of the Colosseum going, I am worthy. Bring it. I don't care what you got. Bring it. I don't care because I know what I'm doing. I'm very strong at my stuff. If your loan officer isn't, the real simple way is once you start asking questions, they'll not take your call so quick. You know why? Because they're running to a manager. And they're going, this guy's asking why I went conventional instead of FHA, and I don't really have an answer. I thought conventional was better than FHA. But they heard that it's not always better. I can tell you why it's not always better, but most loan officers cannot. They're like, well, if you're going to put some money down, you're probably better off with conventional. No, not always. Not always. Sometimes you're better off with FHA. Sometimes you're better off with conventional. But the loan officer has to really know what they're doing. And then once you've chosen this guy, you can challenge him. That's fine. You can test him.
So here's a piece of advice, guys, because I know a lot of you guys are getting your information from agents. So there's two sides of the road here. You have your finance, which is us, and then you have your real estate agent, which is the one doing the negotiating on the property, okay? When it comes to getting data on your transaction, only get your real estate data from your real estate agent and only get your loan information from the loan officer, okay? Because there's a lot of realtors out there that assume things on the loan and they want to hear things like conventional, okay? Because they're scared of FHA. Some of them are. Not the seasoned ones don't care. But they're scared of VA because they don't know the program, they don't know the transaction, they're not familiar with it. So when it comes to the loan side, listen to your loan officer. When it comes to the real estate side, listen to your realtor, okay? And sometimes the lender tries to cross lines too and go, I don't think it should be negotiated that way. Well, the loan officer doesn't know what's going on in that neighborhood. The loan officer isn't the one that spoke to the listing agent, okay? So there's two sides to this. Listen to the pro on each side. Don't cross those lines, okay? It'll make things very confusing. But Gilded Heart, what's going on in your transaction? I looked up above. I didn't see anything question. You said you're getting nervous. What's going on with your transaction? Let's see if we can ease your mind a little bit. I don't think there's anything to be nervous about. Mariah, thank you for the love. Melly Dawn, what is the current mortgage rate right now?
Melly Dawn, the only way I can give you your personal quote is to pull your credit, calculate your income, and calculate your assets and give you your quote. However, if you went to New American Funding website right now, you would see 5.375. Again, 5.375 on a 30-year VA. You would see 5.375 on a 30-year FHA. You would see 5.25 on a 15-year fixed, and you would see 5.75 on a 30-year fixed. Don't believe me? Go to the top of our profile, go to links, cool stuff, today's rates, and you will see what I am talking about. Now, these are the lowest they've been in 2 years, maybe 3 years. This is the downtrend. It's starting. The pivot has started, even though Fed Powell has not. And because the market started to tank, there was talks of an emergency Fed meeting. It didn't materialize, but there was talks of an emergency Fed meeting in order to bring the interest rates down. The last time they did that was COVID. So that's kind of a big deal. And that means that it's starting to trend downward. It's very good for us.
Yeah, Paul C. They want to give me $200,000 on my rental, but I am skeptical. I don't understand. So you want to sell your rental? They want to buy your rental? Clarify that, Paul C. Let us know more data on that. Gilded Heart said, no, I don't. I don't know what you're talking about.
Me neither.
The Pizza Chef. What are the down payment options for alternative credit?
The down payment.
What?
Yeah, what? So, the Pizza Chef. First off, you have to know what alternative credit is. Alternative credit means you don't have a credit score. Not you don't like your credit score, you don't have one. I put your social security number and your date of birth and I pull credit and it comes up with 000 or not applicable NA. So one of those two will show up. So at that point I have to go, all right, how do I get this guy a house? Well, I have to build an alternative credit profile. First thing I have to do is show the underwriter, hey, here's the credit score. It says 0. All right, I'm going alternative credit, which immediately is a manual underwrite. Immediately. So then I have to go, here's the phone bill that this guy's had. For the last 12 months, he's paid it on time. See that? Here's the electric bill. Because everybody has to pay the electric bill wherever you're at. Here's the last 12 months. He paid it on time. Here's every bill he pays. Gas bill, electric bill, phone bill, anything that doesn't report. I can't say automobile because if you did pay automobile, it would show on your credit. So I build an alternative credit profile. And then I calculate your income, put your assets in, and we go FHA first because that's the easiest to get qualified with an alternative credit and a manual underwrite. Because once you trigger a manual underwrite, your debt to income ratio, front and back end, drops significantly. And it drops on FHA and it drops on Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac for a manual underwrite. So my first line would be FHA. Maybe if you made a boatload of income and we could prove it for 2 years, I might go Fannie Mae.
Yeah. Michael Dungan said, Lee, you're giving me hope on getting a home.
I appreciate you,
Dude,
Michael.
good for
I don't know
you,
what that
man.
means. I'll give you hope,
I
man.
love
My
it.
job is to give you hope to get that home. We're going to get you the home.
Yeah, Michael.
Let's stop. Let's put the hope in the
do
drawer
that.
and let's get the action moving. Michael Dugan, let's make it happen.
Brittany, thank you for the love. Ashham Mani, what are the refinance rates with over a 800 credit score?
Well, Ashham Mani, New American Funding is putting out an 800 credit score. They are putting, if you went for a VA 30-year fixed, 5.375. FHA 30-year fixed, 5.375. 15-year conventional, 5.25. 30-year conventional, 5.75. That is not my quote to you. That is what New American Funding is putting out to the world. Don't believe me? Go to the top on our links. Go to Cool Stuff, Today's Rates. You'll see what I'm seeing. That's for a perfect credit score, 800 or above.
Paul C is leaving right now. Paul C, just our phone number's above. Call us. We can talk about it. So have a good day, man.
Taco Tuesday? No, it's Friday.
What?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Taco Tuesday. Taco
Brittany,
Friday.
do you service all states?
Yes, we do, Brittany. All 50 states. All 5050. Yes, we can do all 50 states.
Michael Dungan, we don't have an agent. Just doing you guys first to see what we can do.
Yes, Michael Dugan.
That's
We
the
are
move.
working on it. Yeah, we are working on it. We're trying to make it happen for you guys.
User 5824. Okay, the real estate versus loan officer debate. Which side does setting a closing date fall on?
That's easy. That's easy. That's a cakewalk.
I can tell you who it's on,
I
and
can
I can
tell
tell
you-
you who takes credit.
I'm going to tell you who they're going to blame. I'm going to tell you who they're going to blame.
And blame.
Everybody blames the loan officer, and it's a really strange situation because if the loan officer fires at the realtor will never use him again, and he won't get commission. So the loan officer has to take it. But here's what happens. When you go into a contract, you have the selling party and the buying party. The representative for both of these is the agent. The agents negotiate the closing date. As long as it's within tolerances, the loan officer has no say in this whatsoever. No say whatsoever. As long as it's within tolerances. What does that mean? If the two agents said, hey, we want to close in 4 days, we can't make tolerances because the federal loan process mandates a 3-day waiting period after CD, 24 hours after an LE. There's certain things that have to happen. The appraisal has to happen. So as long as it's within tolerances, then the listing agent and the buyer's agent negotiate on behalf of the seller and the buyer for the contract date. And then they notify the lender. The lender commits to perform within those dates. Here's where you get some hiccups. If the lender is not skilled, they can miss those dates.
Yep.
And if they do, then the buyer and the seller have to renegotiate through the buyer's agent and the seller's agent in order to accommodate the miss of those dates. But if you have a skilled lender, you're going to hit the dates. We hit our dates 90% of the time, 90% of the time. There's a reason sometimes why we won't hit the date. Very rare, but there's a reason, and we just hiccup and move it along. If the lender has a good relationship with the realtor, then the lender will call the realtor and go, hey, yeah, the VOE, we ain't able to get the overtime like we thought. We've made some adjustments, but it's going to cost us 2 days because we've got to issue a CD with the new income. Can you get me 2 more days? And the agent will go, let me make a phone call. Boom, it's usually solved real quick, but it's not a surprise if you have a lender who knows what they're doing. So,
Yeah.
Who negotiates the date? The realtors. Who gets blamed when it's wrong? The lender. Always the lender, and the lender can't really fight back. It's such a strange situation because the lender can't go, no, realtor, you screwed up. They'll be like, all right, we're done using you.
Yeah, that's the age-old question, the real estate agent versus loan officer. It's kind of like the cop versus the fireman. Which one's more courageous? Asham Money, what is refinance rate with 800 plus credit
We did
score? Ryan, are there any advantages of using a local LO? Is there ever a need to meet in person for issues, etc.?
Ryan, the only advantage, and we use this occasionally, is that if your local LO has a very large local footprint and they have brand recognition. So Chris and Lee, if we underwrote a loan and the realtor picks it and goes, hey, Yeah, I've worked with Chris and Lee before. That's solid. Sometimes, and it's rare, but sometimes they will pick just because they know who qualified the loan. And they know it will fund, their seller will sell, they'll make their commission, the transaction's going to happen. Because there are a lot of bad loan officers. Yeah. There are a lot of loan officers who put out bullshit pre-qualifications, and if the listing agent sniffs a little bad, they'll ask for a cross-qual. And what a cross-qual means is I know your LO says it's good, but I want my LO to say it's good. So have your LO send everything to my LO so my LO can go through it. We go through that a lot. Yeah. We go through a lot of cross-quals. Lenders hate cross-quals. We do, because low-level lenders will try and take the buyer away, but high-level lenders are like, all right, here's what it is. Yeah. Cool, it is. Here's what it is. So is there advantage to local LO? If he's got a local giant brand recognition footprint, yes. But short of that, not really.
Yeah, and this right here is actually really helping us, guys. I actually spoke with a agent from Pennsylvania not long ago who been seeing our TikToks, and if you go to our feed and you haven't friended us yet, follow us. We have millions of likes, millions of people engaging. So we're getting a really big footprint nationally.
And if what we were saying was wrong, they take us down, because loan officers come shooting at us all the time.
Oh,
all the time. Oh,
the loan officers, why they hate us?
Because they ain't us.
User 55824. What happens if we just locked in a rate?
Well, you just locked it.
I think Congratulations. We're in a good spot.
Yeah,
it
depends. So here's what you should know. Once you have that lock, you can't just extend it, and you can't just exchange it. If you want to extend it because whatever, somebody didn't meet their contract timelines, it's going to cost you money. Not a little bit of money, probably a lot of money. Probably like thousands. Usually lock extensions are in the thousands, and you have to pay for those. So whatever lock term you locked for, so if you lock for 30 days, just make sure everybody's on the ball and closes within 30 days.
You're in a good spot, though. Congratulations on your new house. I'm happy you're getting one. Gabby, 96, $89,000 annual salary with a 700 monthly debt, 750 credit score. How much would I be approved for? Gabby, that is a beautiful file. I wish I was working that file.
Yep. So you're probably in the neighborhood of 380 to 420, maybe 450, depending on property tax base. So somewhere in that neighborhood, Gabby, you're in a good spot. Very good. That's 750 credit. That's gold, man. That is gold. If you want a really good loan officer, call Chris.
Gabby, looking forward to it. Paul C. Take a loan out on my rental. Oh, that's the one who wanted the $200,000, but he was skeptical.
Yep.
All right, but he bounced, so hopefully he calls us.
All right, cool.
Mr. and Mrs. Mani, thanks. Do I have to pay closing costs if I refinance from you?
So, Asmani, you have to pay closing costs if you refinance through anybody. Anybody. They'll tell you there's no closing costs, but that's not entirely true. When they say, hey, no closing costs out of pocket from you, none at all. Out of pocket is the key. There is always a notary. You think that notary's free? No. You got to pay the notary. And it's usually $250 or $350 to sign all the documents. There's going to be a processor. You think that processor was free? No. So what unscrupulous loan officers will say is, no charge for the refi. And then inside, no charge out of pocket for the refi. There's always a charge. You will get a CD because the system does not allow them to lie to you. The CD is called closing disclosure. And a closing disclosure, I must disclose every fee that the borrower paid for. Now, if it looks like you paid for nothing, all they did was roll that $3,000 charge into the loan, and it will be on the closing disclosure. The closing disclosure, you're not allowed to lie. So, no matter who you went with, you would pay closing costs, no matter who. Now, if you don't want to pay them out of your pocket, we can do it. Yeah, none out of your pocket. That other loan officer will tell you none out of your pocket. All the loan officers, as long as the loan meets the criteria, no money out of pocket. So they'll say no closing costs, but it will actually be in writing on the CD what you paid for.
Yeah, Miss J-Rod, thank you for joining. Gilded Heart, when we call you guys, do we directly work with you or other people in your office?
Well, Gilded Heart, it depends. If you're ready to move like right now and you're like ready to put money down and you call me and you said, hey, I want to put an offer in tonight. You're getting me or you're getting him. Yeah. If you want to, one of us two, you're going to get it. Now, if you said, well, I might want to buy in about 60 to 90 days, and I'm going to send you some of my stuff right now, some of it later. We have 5 other loan officers that work on our team. We're probably going to send you off. But if it's a real deal, serious move, I make my money off commission. He makes his money off commission. If there's commission behind it, I will make the move right now. If not, those other loan officers, they're hustling, but they want to help us. So I pay them a commission. Yeah, and I make a part of the commission. And you can always talk with Chris or I, always. If you're working with Gordon, you can talk to Chris and Lee. It's very common, by the way. Someone's working with Gordon, like, hey, I'd just like to talk to Chris for a little bit. All right. Gordon, I'm going to talk. I got a client who wants to talk to you. Hey, Chris, I see you all the time. It's great to talk with you. Yeah, Gordon's in good hands. All right, cool, great. We're a team. Yeah. We work together. So you can talk with us anytime. And if you're working with Aurora, you can work. If you're working with Jerry, you can work. If you're working with Ryan, if you're working with Sean, any one of the 5 loan officers that work on our team, we talk to them all the time, every day.
Every day?
Every day.
Dude, cat's out of the bag. You just outed us. Now they know we make money for what we do.
Oh, no.
Now they know.
Yep.
Yikes! Seller party took forever to sign the end of their contract. By the time it was in loan officer's hands, the closing date listed in contract had passed. What?
Well, that's your, first off, it is only a legal document when both parties have signed and you're in time frame of contract. I'm not an attorney. I'm not trying to give you legal advice. I'm just telling you that there's technically out of contract. If you're outside of those dates, you don't have a contract anymore. And your agent should know this. They know this. So if I'm out of contract by 1 day, I need an addendum to the contract that says we have extended the contract for 14 days or 2 days or whatever. But that has to happen because everything in the loan world has to be tracked. There's no guesswork. It is a clear contract, dates, and the person who makes sure all this happens is escrow. Yeah. Escrow is a non-biased third party who makes sure that all parties perform as indicated.
Anyone interested in getting a home loan, go to the link in the bio, select apply for a home loan now. You can do it right now or you can do it later. You can do it anywhere. Just know the link is there to get started. Or if you want to talk about it, our phone number is there to talk about it. We can get on the phone live and we can discuss your situation, let you know where you stand. And Monica Lopez, thank you for the love. And now we need a rapid fire, man. You ready?
Okay, cool. We're going to rapid fire. Dude, I want to rapid fire. I like answering questions.
I like words. Okay, Gilded Heart said, is it true that credit loan approval amount is good for 6 months?
Depends. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. Here's what it is. If interest rates are perfectly the same and your income is perfectly the same and you took out no other credit, probably good for about 90 days because I got to refresh your credit every 90 days to make sure that you didn't. Now, if interest rates went up, I don't care what that paper said, it don't work anymore. If interest rates went down, good news, you qualified for more, but that's no longer applicable. So it's market driven, but loan officers don't want to bring you up to speed every day. So they're going to tell you, hey, good for about 90 days, whatever. Just if anything happens, if you change jobs or whatever, just let me know.
This is rapid fire, man.
I was rapid.
Bosco's 777. Not sure why people are hating. This is very educational.
We appreciate you, Bosco 577. We're trying to make it.
Wyatt the realtor. It's coming out of your loan. That's the refi guy. Refi question. Yeah, sometimes it's out of your loan.
Yeah, it's out of your loan. Yeah, it is. It is.
User 5824. We just locked rate before the drops. Did we mess up? We did this on Tuesday, I believe, at 6.25. Don't worry about it. You're fine. Congratulations. You're getting a house. He has a caca face on him. He's probably going to say that you should have waited or should have not. I'm going to say, get in the house, guys. Relax.
I'm going to tell you, 5824. Call Chris and see if he can beat it.
Yeah, when do you close?
Yeah,
that's a good question.
I'm going to tell you. I'm going to say, hey, have the loan officer send you a lock. The minute you got an LE, the minute you locked your rate, you should have got what's called a COC. That's called change of circumstance, and you should have got an LE in your email, which is loan estimate. And it should say the change of circumstance was we locked the loan. Here is the loan estimate. Send that to Chris, and he'll tell you if we can beat it today.
Regardless, yeah. I'm happy you guys are getting a house.
Me too. I'm happy you got a house.
See, dude, you take too long.
Dude, we're getting slapped again by one of the platforms. We get slapped every now and then for either going too long or we say, oh, didn't work. It didn't work. You moved it too far.
They don't like your words, man.
I guess we're gonna be here. Don't worry. We're gonna answer your question. He's trying to get it just right. Did good job. Learned that in grade school.
Okay, Brittany, watching the screen behind you guys. What is the credit increase hack?
Brittany.
God.
Oh, Brittany.
Rapid fire,
Rapid
dude.
fire.
Rapid fire.
Here's the quick one. Here's the quick version. Brittany, let's just say you have a 600 FICO score and you want to bring it up to 720. How do I do that fast? Well, the way you do that is with 10-year history. Well, how do I get 10-year history if I just start today? You call your mom and dad. And Brittany, you say, hey, mom, dad, I'd like you to add me to your credit card as a owner or authorized user. Owner's better. And mom and dad say, why? You say, just because I want it. I'm not going to spend any of your money. Mom and dad say, cool. We add it. And then within 30 days, you now have a 10-year history of paying it on time. And your score goes from 600 to 720 like that. That's one of them. We got a bunch of them.
Right. Lizanti, what refinance loan is recommended?
Well, if you have a VA, I recommend a VAIRRL. If you have an FHA, I recommend a FHA Streamline. If you have a Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac, I recommend a rate and term refinance.
Right. Is there a certain quarter for you to recommend to refi?
Certain quarter.
Like quarter of the year, I think.
No, it's all interest rate driven. Pretty
User
simple.
9073, 110 a year, 750 credit score. What should my range be at?
Well, you're cracking $500,000, that's for sure.
Boom!
You're cracking $500,000. You might go up, depending on where you live, 600, 650 even, depending on where you live.
Yeah.
That's a great income. That's a big one.
It's a good file.
And the FICO score is great. You got to call Chris like right now.
User 5824, is a rider to a contract the same as an addendum? This is a follow-up to closing date on contract queues.
Sometimes in some states, in California, they're called addendums, and in Texas, they're called riders. So it depends on the state. Pretty close. Yeah.
Gilded Heart said, thanks guys, talk soon.
Appreciate it.
Ryan, where can I see the list of all the documents I need to have ready?
I'll give them to you right now. You ready?
2x4, man, 2x4.
Okay, here we go. 2 years taxes. Last 2 months bank statements. Last 2 paycheck stubs. What's the other one?
W2s.
Last 2 years W-2s. That comes in with your taxes. So
Boom.
that's it. Once I got that, I can qualify your file.
Fancy LaQueen, what type of profession is most common these for home purchase?
What type of profession is most common?
What profession do we see over and over again?
That's a good question. What do you come up with? A lot of truck drivers. We get a lot of OTR drivers, a lot of truck drivers, but we're across the board, man. I deal with doctors. I got this one client, oh my God. She's one of my favorite clients in the whole world, works for Home Depot. Makes like a base of $350,000 a year. Oh my God. And she's one of them big mucky muck badass. But that's
Teachers, cops.
not teachers and cops. Yeah, teachers, cops.
Isela, my co-signer is a business owner. What Wells Fargo being difficult because of it? Can you help?
Yes. Call Chris right away. Call him like right now.
Brittany, do you have a YouTube video on more credit hacks?
We got a TikTok channel with a bunch of them. We tell them live. We help you. Brittany, we can help you. But the biggest thing you can do is pay your bills on time. Pay your bills on time.
Screenshot.
Pay Dazzle.
Screenshot.
Follow the host. Oh, you got to screenshot this so you can call us when we're done. So, hey, guys, you know what? We appreciate you guys. We have been Chris and Lee. We are out.